Hello. A little bit late tonight, but it's been a crazy day. Yeah, so I'm sure most of you have probably seen that ICE has taken another life now. And I mean, this has been happening on a regular basis, but this is another one that is getting news because of the fact that it was a US citizen who was on video and clearly not doing anything wrong. It's so fucked up, man. I mean, like, I just I don't know where it goes from here because I don't see Trump backing down. I just see more escalation coming and um yeah, it's looking pretty crazy. I've seen, like, the video from different angles. I'm not gonna replay it on the show because 'cause I'm sure, like, if you wanna find it, you can, you know? I'll go through some other videos and things that are happening have happened since, and some of the, conversations that have been happening around it. But the way that this has been approached with them just defending every single thing, every single action, no matter how egregious, it's like they just back it up, is very concerning. Because it's essentially giving these people a license to kill, and that's exactly what they want to do. The conversation about this being like training or it's an accident, like, most of these people are crazy fascists who were members of whatever Patriot Front or Proud Boys or whatever, and join this because this has been their dream to violently attack whoever you know they think doesn't politically align with them, and the people that they've scapegoated for all of their problems. Um, and that is the thing that is concerning. Is like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are some cops out there. I mean, a good, I don't want to give cops too much credit, like, because even these days, it's like these people are making cops look good, and that's how do you even do that? You know what I mean? Um, like, I'm sure a lot of them do take sadistic pleasure in hurting people, but this is on a different level. This is on a really different level. Um, And I think right now things are relatively chill. As far as there's probably a face off going out front of the building, and we'll take a look at that. But it's been weeks now that this has been going on, and there hasn't been like a big riot. That And that is kind of shocking. But at the same time, I feel like it's a very different atmosphere than it was on different occasions. Like last time, I think, people being trapped in their houses for a long time had a lot to do with the thing with how intense the intensity of George Floyd and the protests, not just in Minneapolis, but around the country. Um, and this situation is like your city is being occupied by, uh, the federal government. So, I feel like people are probably organizing in different ways. Um, but I am definitely concerned that there are more deaths than we even know about, especially on the, side of undocumented people. Because there's tons of people who are missing that they're unaccounted for. Nobody knows where they are. They're not records of them being anywhere. I remember there being a story about over 1,000 people missing from Alligator Alcatraz after it was closed, weeks after it was closed. I'm not sure how many of those people that they found, but um, you know, I have a feeling after this all is said and done, hopefully will be in our lifetime, uh, that we're gonna find out that, like, a lot of nasty shit has went on during this time. Um, even beyond what we can already see in front of our faces. Um, yeah, let me bring up a couple of the things I saved, and then I'll look through some live streams to see if I can find anything. Um, but yeah, I didn't plan too much today, but I did save some things because it was just like, what is even happening here? Um, let's see. I think from Brenna and Prez that people from Alligator Alcatraz were moved to Fort Montana in Texas. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Um, yeah, there's definitely still quite a few missing people out there, but I'm glad that that big batch of people is not like just gone somewhere. Um, and yeah, that's the other thing is the conversation about the guy had a gun on him, but he was legally allowed to carry it and he wasn't doing anything with it. And not only that, they had taken the gun by the time that they shot him. So both of these cases that we have now are just so blatantly
for some tier.
They just did it, for the thrill of it, essentially. And in both cases, I'm pretty sure I saved a video of them celebrating afterwards, just like they did with Renee Good.
For some time, just up the road for a period of time. How would you describe just the way as a Minneapolis resident that you're feeling right now?
Can I describe it not as a Minneapolis resident, but as an American citizen? Thank you. This started as a pretext about immigration and the fraud, whatever. It's well beyond that now. It's into your Second Amendment. It's into your Fourth Amendment. It's into your Sixth Amendment. This is so far beyond what people at home probably are watching going, oh, it's Minneapolis, it's woke Hoth, it doesn't affect me, whatever. It does. It's you. It's you as well now. Wake up. Please watch what's happening here. I feel like we're performing CPR on what may already be a corpse called the Constitution. And yeah, there's plenty of people online laughing at us and going, haha, tryhards. But I think it's worth it, and I hope you do too.
Well, you were saying to me earlier that you were HOA president for a while.
Yeah, I'm the Square community, man. I like built real estate document search portal sites for Wells Fargo. I am the Square community. Like, yeah.
But you were HOA president, Frank and Nick. So this community to happen here, for this to happen here at this intersection on Nicollet in East Street, how do you begin to explain the significance of it happening here today?
I assume it's Kristi Noem's provocation. She saw how much this city hates her clowns, hates her scarecrows, and said, we'll double down. We'll put the boot a little bit harder on the throat.
How long will you stay out here?
Till my balls get cold. Just till it takes.
I did see that one of them might have misfired the gun that they took from him, and then they all freaked out. Yeah, I saw some people saying that. Hello, welcome. Let's see. Yeah, and people aren't backing down though, because people are now doing armed patrols in the neighborhood, it looks like.
If you can black out our face, that would be preferred.
Sit down. Keep your head down.
Are you with the BBC or? So, yep.
I want to do anything in the house.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's also been, I think, reports that there's some kind of barricade out front of there as well. And then the NRA comes out with this announcement basically talking shit about the people who are trying to observe and take video of what ICE is doing, which of course is kind of to be expected. They usually are very, very bad when the cops shoot people that are armed and legally armed. Yeah. And then once again, there was he was denied medical care. And firsthand affidavit of a woman who was there and recording on video, she talks about how Alex Preddy was directing traffic when she arrived. She watched him be killed in front of her. She's afraid to go home, worried she'll be arrested. I think this might even be the woman that took that other video. Lawyers filed declaration in federal court from firsthand witness to immigration agents shooting of a U.S. citizen onlookers today. Said details would be used to bolster the case for ousting ICE from the city. I mean, they gotta do something like that, man. I don't know, because like I said, it's just gonna continue to escalate. Yeah, they're taking children straight to Houston or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it is very eerily similar to what they do, what the IDF does. And yeah, this was a good point from Ryan Grimm. The first time we got gun control was when freed slaves armed themselves to resist the KKK and other militias intent on putting them back in chains in the 1870s. The second time was when the Black Panthers armed themselves. And now seeing a lot of right wingers with a lot of very restrictive ideas about gun possession. And yeah, so it just keeps on getting crazier. So Trump is saying, like, all right, I'll remove ICE if you give me control of your elections, essentially. Um, so that's pretty much probably been his goal all along. Like, what is even going on? Of course, his goal is to continue his immigration strategy, and deport people. But still, the reason for the concentrated, uh, force that's happening in Minneapolis and Minnesota is probably related to that. And he's going in Maine too, and he's going in all of these kind of swing states. And I'm not usually like an election guy that gets all into the elections and stuff, but it's obvious that he is trying to remove any obstacles that he has between himself and complete power.
By now, you've seen this horrific video, another individual killed in.
This is a politician, right? This guy is U.S. senator from Connecticut,
Minnesota. It's just fucking awful, the inhumanity of this. We cannot fund ICE as it is constituted today. But we found out something else really important today.
This is important that he's saying that they can't fund ICE because this bill was just passed in the House, and a lot of senators are threatening to veto it or send it back or whatever it's called, because of ICE and the budget approval for that. So it's good that another senator is saying that.
Pam Bondi sent a letter to state officials in Minnesota in which she made a list of demands for ICE to leave Minneapolis. And one of those demands was that the state turn over its voter rolls to the federal government. This has never been about public safety. Minneapolis is a much less safe place today because ICE is there. This is likely about trying to rig and steal the election. Donald Trump is wildly unpopular. He is not committed to democracy. And he knows the only way that his movement is to retain power, the only way that his corporate allies retain power, his billionaire allies retain power this November, is for Trump to steal the election. And so he's saying to Minneapolis, if you don't give me control of the voter rolls, then ICE isn't leaving. And you can see that if he gets away with it in Minnesota, he's likely going to try it in places like Philadelphia and Phoenix, other key cities in swing.
He's already said he's going to these places. It is literally like a shopping list of the places that he knows he's going to lose in. This is so blatantly corrupt. It's insane.
States. So understand why it's so important for us to draw a line. I have been arguing all weekend that the Senate should not pass funding for the Department of Homeland Security. First and foremost, because this is a rogue agency that is operating outside of the law and is killing American citizens. But also because the underlying game here may be to steal the 2026 election. And no senator, but in particular, no Democratic senator, should play a part in that.
Yeah, that's a good point, that the whole like election that Elon tried to buy in Minnesota failed, and this could that could have pissed them off too. And yeah, I did see that video about the children like crying for help. I have that saved. I'll pull that up shortly. Yeah, I saw that one as well. I think I saved that. No, they had this guy down and he said he was going to be killed. I think there's some more news on that election situation as well. Yeah, here it is. Pam Bondi sent Minnesota officials a letter today saying ICE would leave the state of Minnesota if they turn over the voter files to the Trump administration. They're openly using state violence as a bargaining chip to seize the election infrastructure. Let's take a look at this letter from Pam Bondi. Second, repeal the sanctuary policies that have led to so much crime and violence in your state, removing criminal illegal alien. I really, really hate that. I hate that 3-word description for a human being. From Minnesota neighborhoods will save lives. State all detention facilities in your state should cooperate fully with ICE, blah, blah, blah. It seems like they already do. The corrections facilities showed video of them handing people over to ICE that ICE said were free. That happened just this week. I urge you to reach an agreement with ICE that allows them to remove illegal aliens in custody of Minnesota's prisons and jails and avoids pushing these interactions into your streets. Third, allow the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice to access voter rolls to confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with federal law as authorized by the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Fulfilling this common sense request will better guarantee free and fair elections and boost confidence in the rule of law. I am confident with these simple steps we could bring back law and order to Minnesota and improve the lives of Americans. Wow. The time has come for state and local officials in your state to change course. What the hell? That is a sentence. As the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, I am committed to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping every American safe. Like, she actually should have gotten ChatGPT to write this. Minnesota can and should be a partner with this administration. Do not obstruct federal immigration enforcement. Do not allow rioters to take over the streets and houses of worship, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, she did straight up ask for the access to voter rolls. That seems sketch. That seems really sketch. Let's see. I don't know what the outcome of the protests are. I think, or what will be. I don't think what the outcome of ICE being in the area will be. It's just going to. Right now, it looks like it'll just continue to escalate, because Trump seems to have a plan here, and yeah. I mean, I think they should be happening, obviously. But it's in Trump's control to de-escalate, and he's not going to do it. Like, it's always on the side of the oppressor, because they keep on turning it up, and people can't just lay down. You know what I mean?
American cities, and in particular, what I can tell you is we went through this in Chicago, although the force in Minneapolis is multiple times bigger.
Yeah, they target cities individually so they can use their forces in a more concentrated way.
And what you're seeing is that ICE, immediately upon the shooting taking place, without any investigation at all, has come out with its statement about what happened. Instead of saying we're going to investigate, they've just said this is what happened. It's all justified, brandishing of a weapon, et cetera. And that's what they did in Chicago. They did that to Miramar Martinez, who was shot 5 times by ICE and taken to court as if she had been the cause of it. And it turns out, what do you know? She was the case was dismissed. None of it was true. But ICE lied immediately, as they did with Silverio Villegas, also killed by ICE in Chicago. So
yeah, they don't have the forces to be in like every city at the same time. I think they can only do a handful of them. Right now, I know that they are in Minnesota, Maine, and North Carolina really heavily right now. And maybe South California, Southern California, because they were shooting at somebody there a couple days ago. But yeah, they generally can't be everywhere.
ICE is a bunch of untrained and unqualified people. They've obviously added literally thousands and thousands of new agents. It's like it's become some sort of secret police force for Donald Trump. They need to step back from American cities. And in particular, right now, they need to withdraw, step back from Minneapolis. And we need to talk about how are we now going to proceed without them causing more damage and more violence rather than.
So this, yeah, I'm gonna try to find out what has happened since then. I've been trying to like piece together a lot of these things that have been posted online and like with the Times and find out, because they basically surrounded his clothes and a lot of the evidence, and they wouldn't let the protesters and they wouldn't let ICE get near it, because we all know what happened with Renee Good. They just like stole the evidence and covered it all up and wouldn't let the state prosecutors look at it. So I don't know what happened with this standoff here. But we'll try to figure it out.
Fuck ICE and their drones.
Yeah, I mean, I am somewhat like, I do have hope in the amount of resistance that we see to this, and the amount of people that we have in this country is a benefit to us, like the large population. Um, it is just like how many people out there would fight on the other side of this to defend these people. You know what I mean? Um, that's that's the thing that concerns me. But I feel like they're louder than they are actually significant in number. And I feel like the way that things are botted online make it seem like there's a lot more of them. And yet the National Guard situation, they're going in. I don't know what that's going to end up like, because the state is calling the National Guard in. So they're going to be on the opposing side of ICE. And there's a lot of people saying that the National Guard and the state police should be arresting ICE. So I don't think anything like that has ever happened in the history of the U.S.
To be lying in real time. I mean, look, first of all, pushing back on the statement, they appear to be lying in real time about what this video shows and about what was happening. They couldn't possibly have even gathered the facts that they claim to be representing to the public, but they also starkly contradict what we're all seeing with our own eyes. Look, if this were a properly functioning Justice Department, the investigation, the federal investigation into all of these officers would have already begun. They'd be detained on the site, probably by the FBI, maybe in a joint operation with local officials. But I see, from what we have seen, no justification for this man's death. He appears to have been killed for exercising his constitutional rights.
And the thing is like it seems like they are just trying to just get us to ignore reality. Like, I knew that something was really messed up when he tried to get that reporter to say that that guy actually had MS-13 on his knuckles in the letters that were on obvious type font Photoshop on the picture that they put out. And Trump was trying to force him in the middle of the interview to say that, and then flipped out when he didn't. The way that they are trying to reject reality is nuts, and the way that some people are buying into it is crazy as well. I saved some of the scenes that happened after it went down. They apparently forced the agents out of there until the agents came in there with this big ass like armored vehicle. Damn, yo, yeah, they're getting out. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely witnessing something seriously historic. Hopefully, it isn't a bad turning point, like I have an odd gut feeling that it might be. You know, it's not like this is the first time somebody has been shot on camera by the police, but in the other cases, there was at least this kind of pretend justice, you know, and sometimes the people actually went to jail. Not enough of the cases, you know, but the way that this is being treated really makes me feel like this is going to happen a lot more often. And considering that, like, I don't know what the boiling point is for like the next 3 years of this or whatever, you know? National Guard vehicles in Minneapolis PD stationed at entry points of today's ICE shooting. So that must mean that they did get around the that they did disperse the crowd. I think this was one of the armored vehicles that I saw pushing people around. Oh yeah, I mean, I think this country was definitely doomed from the start for sure. I would agree with that. So if this is National Guard, then I'm wondering who's got control of the evidence. I saw another thing saying that they were blocked, but I don't know how recent that is. So I'll check that out in a minute too. Yeah, I mean, it looks like state and National Guard. Let's see what this says. Local investigators with a judicial warrant were blocked from investigating the scene by ICE agents. But see, that was 5 hours ago. This was 3 hours ago. So it's just like, this is what I'm saying with the time stuff.
We took the step of getting the search warrant because we were denied access to the scene. So we thought
sometimes some of those news sites have like the timeline articles. I saw the New York Times had one, but it was paywalled.
That we'd be able to get access to the scene, much like we would anywhere else.
I can't hear this, dude.
Independent judge agree that we have probable cause to
And
investigate.
if I can't,
the
you probably
incident
can't
at the
either.
scene. That was provided.
MN National Guard posted up here by the Whipple Federal Building. That is where most of the action has been. Yeah, so CNN cut to one of their journalists, and she was like in the middle of a bunch of tear gas.
Sarah Seidner is in the middle of all of this. So, Sarah, tell us where you are, what's happening. Okay. You know what? It's very difficult to speak when you're in the middle of.
It's very hard to speak when you're in the middle of
this. I was told that, you know, I should toss to her, but I feel badly right now because she's in the middle, because I understand her.
Yeah, because she can't breathe because she's got a chemical irritant that is banned by the Geneva Convention, like seeping into her lungs. Let's see. Yeah, protests have definitely started all over the country now as well. Probably in most cities tonight. I'm nowhere near any city. I'm like over an hour away from every city, unfortunately. Or fortunately these days, I guess. Depending on, you know. And this is weird too. Like, this could just, I mean, it's a real video, but I don't think there's going to be a riot. Aldi is boarding it up.
How you doing, Mikey? Good.
I guess out of an abundance of caution, as they say.
I'm not a movie star. You are today.
I don't see that happening though. This is a very different atmosphere and situation, I think, than we've seen in the past. I feel like there's a chance that some ICE agents and their vehicles are going to get fucked up. I have a feeling that there could be an occupation of one of those federal buildings and they could break a bunch of people out or some shit. I could see something like that happening, but I can't see them just burning down the Starbucks, really.
Hey, Big Daddy.
So yeah, this is the one you were telling me about, Daniel. Listen to the sound of ongoing demonstration by detainees over conditions at Dilley. Incredible courage from these families and children. You can tell by the sound of their voices that so many of those shouting Libertad and Let Us Go are children. This, I believe, is in Texas, I think.
I'm outside. I'm outside. It doesn't say out here.
And they're pissed.
And I've just been ordered to leave the premises. I've just been ordered to leave the premises, and she's yelling at.
That is one of the most horrifying things I've ever heard, man. Because I know that it's real and it's happening right now. You know what I mean? It's not in some like movie or some documentary about some shit that happened 40 years ago.
At me right now, so I'm gonna head back to my car and try and keep you abreast of the situation.
Like a lot have died in custody at this point. It has been there were at least 40 that we know about since Trump took office, and there's a lot more than that missing. It's definitely, things are definitely going in a very dangerous direction. And the thing is that really is disturbing is the other night I was listening to this interview on stream with the disabled woman who was pulled out of her car and arrested for no reason. And she described what it was like in one of those camps. And the most disturbing thing to me was how she described them talking about people, and that they described all of the people that they had arrested or detained as bodies. And that is just like such dehumanizing language. And it seems like intentionally dehumanizing. And oh yeah, Denmark. Wow. I'm very sorry about how we're dealing with you right now. Or how the ruling elite here is. Man, well thanks for tuning in. It's just, yeah, I know. Yeah, oh man, yeah, everybody has every right to be mad at the United States right now, for real. And I have always been kind of like not, you know, I have been very angry at this country ever since the Iraq War, when I realized our role in the world. You know what I mean? I was like just graduating high school around that time, and um, yeah, that was a big wake up. Uh, let's see what else we got.
As well. But I think the video speaks for itself. What I can tell you is we have identified this person, 37-year-old white male, resident of the city. The only interaction that we are aware of with law enforcement has been for traffic tickets. And we believe he is a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
Chief, can you clarify?
Yeah, this guy just seems so wholesome, you know what I mean? The guy that they killed, apparently he was out there directing traffic. Um it's just it's very upsetting, because I feel like this is just the beginning. We have a long battle ahead of us. Let me see in the chat. Yeah. Yeah, an ICU nurse. Like, I'm gonna put this on real quick.
The anger here, it's critical in
This was right after it went down.
press conference, and this just gets back, and we're biased as journalists, but these officials need to speak.
We're seeing flashbang grenades being shot into the crowd to
Flashbang.
push them back as they got closer to the
I shouldn't make fun. I stutter all over myself and misspeak all the time, but still.
to the ICE and CBP. Again, I don't know whether they're ICE or CBP because they don't identify. They're now moving into the crowd. These short snub guns that they're using are usually used to fire pepper balls or tear.
I saw this one guy that was like in plain clothes with the ICE agents, but he had like the big vest on and the gas mask on, and he had like some weird like winter hat with the fuzzy ball on top of it, and he was shooting pepper balls at people. I was like, did they just like hand one of the, you know, random people that walked up?
Tear gas. We have seen Alex Tabbets on the ground. He said there's both pepper in the air and tear gas in the air. When this started, we saw the ICE officials. This is all tear gas you're looking at right now, or smoke. We didn't see them having masks on. They're all masked. They are now moving at some pace toward that crowd. This has been sort of a moving protest. They're moving well out of the area
other
that they've been
thing
stationed
is,
in.
and again, I'm not trying to give cops too much credit, but they usually have, there are certain like rules that they have that so they don't get in too much trouble, you know what I mean? So they can get away with cracking skulls and stuff, you know? They stay within these certain parameters. So like what he just mentioned is how they were going at a quick pace. That is notable because a lot of times when they're kettling protesters and doing shit like that, they move pretty slowly. Once they get your ass, they definitely get your ass. And then they'll shoot tear gas in a particular direction, and it disperses the crowd, which is technically their objective as a whole, at least. And then in this case, they are chasing after the people because they want to grab that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And then they're kicking the tear gas along as they go, so it can continue to hurt the people as they're running away.
All morning now. They look to be at least a block away. You can see people running. I want to just stay on this for 1 second to see where this is going.
This is where they got that guy on the ground.
Done nothing at all. I have done nothing at all. My name is Matthew James. Obadiah Allen.
See, and they're trying to not even allow him to say his name. That's scary. And they're like pointing pepper spray at his. There's a guy on the other side, right behind where this person's legs are, and you could see just a second ago, he like pointed his pepper spray at the dude's face. You see him bend over right there, because he does not want him getting his name out, because they don't want people to be keeping track of everybody.
If you kill me on the street,
That's why he's, yeah.
you're gonna kill me. That's what you want. You want to kill me. You want to kill me on the street. You're gonna have to fucking kill me.
You can hear a man that they're holding down on the street saying, "I've done nothing wrong." He's saying his name. These are, as Alex Tabbitt was describing, some of these are sort of practiced things where people learn what they're supposed to do if they come into contact with these federal officers. They try and record as much as they can, and they say certain things. Now, what's going on here?
This is horrible.
What a scene, Minneapolis. Minneapolis in 2026. David Rode, you were saying the difficulty in understanding what really happened is exacerbated by the fact that people don't necessarily.
I guess that might be his partner there. She says that they were just running away.
Believe what DHS is saying. Let's listen to what this woman is saying.
What's your husband's name? His name is Matthew James Obadiah Allen. Write that down. Matthew James. We're not going to let him get lost. It's going to be fine. Matthew James Obadiah Allen. Matthew James Obadiah Allen. Thank you. I'm just going to keep saying.
Wow. That's these people are sadistic, man. I don't even know. Yeah, this is seriously heartbreaking. Like, I just, yeah, it is tear gas. White phosphorus is different. Yeah, that's like more of a more explosive, I think. This was the armed vehicle that I think came through to break the barricade around the evidence. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the chemical makeup is of it. It could be even something experimental. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure. This guy's a badass standing in front of here, though. It's mostly just sirens and people yelling, so I'm just gonna but yeah, I mean this and the other thing is I don't know what the weather is looking like in Minneapolis, but I know here in Maryland we got a lot of snow and ice coming apparently. And apparently, the East Coast at least is going to be snowed in, even as far down as Atlanta I was seeing. And I want to check the weather in Minneapolis this weekend. Let's see. Cuz all right, so they're not getting any snow this weekend. Cuz that of course logistically ends up mattering when it comes to what kind of actions are going to take place, let's see. I went through a lot of this. This is a longer video. I think this was the guy we watched earlier. This might be Is this the same one?
I'm outside of the Dilley facility here in South Texas. There's a demonstration of detainees taking place inside right now. We were all asked to leave. There's a drone flying up ahead right now. It's an extremely bizarre situation. You can hear them shouting.
This is fucked up what we're living through, man. Whoops. This is just...
There's people in blue shirts. Again, there's drones flying up ahead.
And he's just on like public property, basically, like a parking lot.
There appear to be hundreds of people through the crack that I can see. And again, I was here for an attorney visit and they asked me to leave abruptly without telling me why, ordering people who were waiting to stand outside in the cold. And I'll try and keep you updated as to what is happening.
Follow this guy. I already kind of went over that, the investigation stuff. Is this him again? This is must be a newer one. Let me go to his page and see what the most recent one is. This is a statement from Habibi Solomon, detained at Dilley for 8 months with her mom, 5-year-old twin siblings, 9-year-old sister, and 16-year-old brother. This is a bit long, but I think we should look through it. Some only see the last name me and my family share with my father, not the separate lives that we spent 3 years building. To the authorities, we are guilty only by association. They don't see us as individuals with our own dreams. We are 6 innocent people, including 5-year-old twins, trapped in a nightmare we didn't create and punished for our father's actions. We came to the US for personal family reasons. The move was very hard for every single one of us. Like many of other immigrant families, we had to work really hard to adapt to the new environment. Struggling with the English language, school, and day-to-day tasks are every immigrant's secret battles. Yeah, I think that's not talked enough about. Like, I it's so hard to imagine how hard it is to get around when everybody is speaking a different language than you. Like a couple of years ago went to Bogota, Colombia, and that's not like a tourist place, you know what I mean? So bunch of people were not speaking English. Luckily, I worked with a dude that did speak Spanish, and that was helpful, but it was very hard to get around without him, and it felt like it was kind of a psychedelic experience in a way, for a weird, but like a kind of a scary one because you're trying to get food and stuff, and everybody is like, what's wrong with you, and to be able to establish yourself and to get by month to month in a place where you have these challenges and you're trying to figure shit out is an incredible thing. And yeah, struggling with, but like a lot of people, we overcome these challenges and we tried our best to give back to our community. My brother and I used to volunteer in a community food drives, and my mother and I taught English to the other struggling immigrants. As a family, my mom always encouraged. Then the worst nightmare that none of us could have expected or even imagined came into our life. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of skim through it a little bit. So the mom was working on her legal case in a cafe. Her brother was hiking with friends. Around 1 p.m., several police cars showed up in the neighborhood. Worried, I called my mom to tell her. She said that maybe it was a follow-up from yesterday's incident, since there was a fight in the neighborhood the night before. 2 hours later, more police cars showed up, and some of them blocked our parking lot. At 3 p.m., my brother came home and was wondering why there were so many police cars. Suddenly, I heard a different ringtone in the house. I went to check where it was coming from, and I ended up finding my dad's phone and wallet in a bag under the desk. I checked the phone, and my mom was calling. I picked it up astonished. My mom was confused. How was he answering my dad's phone? However, when she arrived, the police blocked her car and surrounded her. I ran to the window to see what happened, and I saw the police officers were wearing FBI vests. They told my mom that they have nothing against her, but that she has to go with them for an issue concerning her husband. My mom asked if the father was alive because she was worried he might have gotten into a car accident. My dad used to say that his reason for not coming back home at night is being very tired and afraid of dying in a car accident. So that is why death was the first thing that popped into my other's head when the officer mentioned my father. The officer said he was fine, but he was being held in Boulder. Then my mom told the officers that my dad's phone was inside the house and offered to bring it with her. The officers were surprised that his phone was with us and told her to take it with her to the police station. So this has definitely been happening a lot, where they are taking family members of people, like even people who are here legally. They're still scooping them up, and they're saying, we're just going to process your paperwork faster. And then they send them to a detention center, where it's obviously like a concentration camp we're looking at, Let's see what the next one says. While they were there, I called them back. My brother said that when he asked if the officer if the issue was bad, he said, yes, it is very bad. Hearing this, my brother thought that if it was bad, it might be on the news. So we looked on the Colorado news, and that is how we found out. I couldn't believe the articles. I didn't think it was possible for my very quiet, peaceful father to do something so outrageous until I saw the video. The person in that video may have looked like my father, but I couldn't believe that was the person I knew. I'm wondering what happened here. Throughout our entire lives, my mom did most things. My dad is a man of few words. He does not share his thoughts or concern with us or anyone in the family. We never found out if he is sick or has problems. We would find a bag of medicine under his name or mail that is addressed to him. My mom always used to beg him to be open to her, to share his worries. Nonetheless, she always fails. My father never changed, and I don't think he ever opened up to anybody. Which one is this? The FBI told us that they wanted to search the house, so we had to stay in a hotel for the first night. That night, none of us were able to sleep. My mother didn't eat or sleep for 3 days. She was continuously crying and repeating, "This can't be true. This is not my husband." What did he do? We were trying to not scare the little ones. Let's see. Just checking in chat if anybody's. Let's see. I was thinking about how could he possibly do that? How could he hurt all these innocent people? How could he completely abandon us like that? The father I knew had no hatred or grudge for anyone. I wish there was context with this. But what was actually insane was that he was acting completely normal before the incident. Just like other people, we spent 2 days at the hotel not knowing that that would be our last days of freedom for a long time. Just like other people, we were lied to by DHS and ICE agents. On the third day, they told us that staying in the hotel was dangerous and that we should go to another hotel for our safety. Only 2 Homeland Security agents got us from inside the hotel, while 15 others were waiting for us outside. Yo. We drove for an hour to Florence, still believing that we were going to a hotel. To our surprise, we arrived at a place in the middle of nowhere. We drove into a garage and watched it close behind us. We felt trapped. We thought we got kidnapped. We were in 2 cars surrounded by strangers, and we didn't know if they were police or not. The ICE agents didn't show us their badges or identify themselves at all until we got inside the holding cells. They took our phones and all of our property, and we stayed for more than 8 hours in a cold cell. It was the beginning of the end. We were overcome with terror. We tried to explain that we had a case and that it was pending, but ICE officers didn't seem to hear us. While we were waiting, we saw another detained man in the cell in front of us. He refused to put his fingerprints in the system, so the ICE agents chose to use force with him, pinning him on the ground and forcing his fingers on the device. There were 3 of them, and they were aggressively roughing up a man half their size. It was so bad that after they were done, to the point that the detainee couldn't walk straight. Meanwhile, every single one of us watched in horror, thinking that we were next. The twins were only 4 years old then and were crying hysterically when the agents called on our mother. But unfortunately, they told us that they would only use that type of force with us if we refused to follow their orders. What the fuck, man? They're like threatening women and little children like this? Of course they are. Yeah, I mean, this is like they didn't break the law. Yeah, you're a crazy person, Rufio. Eat a dick. In the cell, we were all worried, trying to make sense of what happened, but everything happened so fast. Like, get some humanity, you fucking asshole, for real. Pathetic, sad little man. We were devastated. The agents told us that it was a nice family facility where we will stay until we have our court. This is like where they put people on the trains and telling them that they're taking you to another, another place where you'll be welcome, and then take you to a fucking camp. From the cell to the Dilley Detention Center, we have been followed everywhere by 7 people. At the time, we were just feeling numb. Our entire lives had been flipped up in a matter of hours. Like, they completely lied to these poor people that were doing nothing wrong. When we finally got to the facility in the middle of the night, the site of the facility didn't exactly match the nice family facility that agents told us about, but rather more of a prison than anything. We were thinking how we have never done anything to deserve this, especially the 4 and 8-year-olds who haven't even lived their childhood yet like normal kids. After dropping us off, one of the escorts that accompanied us said, "Be strong. No matter what happens, you have to be strong. Just remember that." Her words scared me more than it gave me hope. We went in expecting to get out after 24 hours, but unfortunately, they didn't tell us the whole story. They didn't tell us that we will have one court after another and that it would be near impossible for us to get out. The things we had to endure in the facility itself are a whole different story. We have been fighting and struggling to get the most basic things like food and medicine and even clothes. It was surprising to see the amount of heartless people that worked in the facility. I am not even saying that they aren't any nice people here, but the truth is that only 10% of these officers have ever treated us like humans. I could never understand why it's so hard for some people to just be a little nice. It doesn't take a lot of effort. The officers talk arrogantly and treat residents like they are nothing, as if just because we are detained, we are not humans anymore. Their actions would be anywhere from eating lollipops and candy in front of little kids, knowing that they all want some but can never get any, to criticizing officers who treat residents like humans and telling them, you don't have to do all that. If they have a problem, they can figure it out on their own. Yeah, like they don't want these people to be humanized. And there's I saw this comment on one I don't know if it was Facebook or Twitter, but one of these people said uh, it was something being shared about like the 2-year-old girl that was deported, and he was like, yeah, basically screw her in very, very crude terms, like, yeah, get her out of here. And like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? Okay, so this is an attorney, I believe, for this detainee, or this person. His Twitter is Eric Lee ATTY for attorney. So that's ERICLEEATTY. And he has been having all the updates about this. The facility claims that has great food and medical service. Yeah, I mean, this is horrific. Many people were hospitalized and rushed to emergency because they weren't given treatment they needed. I struggled to get new glasses for 4 months, and I'm currently staying without glasses. Like, how can we be okay with treating human beings like this? Like, what is the point of having a society at all if people are treated like this in it? My brother himself had appendicitis, and when he went to get the medical department, he wasn't even seen by a doctor. He was only checked by a nurse who told him, leave and come back in 3 days if you still have the pain. He was finally taken to actually be seen after he threw up in the waiting room and begged the nurse that he couldn't even walk from the pain. Like, who are the nurses that are working in this place? Like, what is wrong with you? Board of Immigration Appeals orders suspension of attorney. I don't know anything about that. I just found out about this guy for the first time. Why? I don't understand. People are always somebody on Twitch says might want to consider the consequences of unquestioningly taking every 2-year-old in the world. Do you understand that there is an invasion of infants in the United States on a moment-to-moment basis? There are hordes of them coming into this country, and they're not being vetted. They're coming out of hospitals. All of these, American babies that have been born. What's the difference between them and a 2-year-old child that comes from another country? Like, what big enough the phrase anchor baby has entered the popular lexicon, this guy says. Yeah, it's entered the popular lexicon because people like you are stupid and racist. So that's the thing. Like, there is no difference between the people that live elsewhere and the people that live here in terms of like how safe they are to live around. Yes, people come from different culture, they have different preferences, they like different things, but it doesn't mean that people are less safe because they come from somewhere else. And the fact that you just can't show any compassion is a serious, serious problem and a defect with you as a human. I would rather live around nothing but immigrants than people that have attitudes like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry to all the. I mean, I'm only calling people racist who are actually, exhibiting racism. I don't say that to everybody. The comment is how I want to throw it on there because there's not many people on Twitch, but I got a lot of people on YouTube. So, yeah. So I just wanted to let you all know who I was arguing with. Let's continue this though. Our days here are defined by lines. We wait 2 hours to get a computer and 1 hour for food 3 times a day. It takes 3 hours just to wait to get 1 dose of medicine, which we need at least twice a day after we already waited 3 hours to get it prescribed. Like, why? There's no point. These people are not dangerous. They're not any more dangerous than any of your other neighbors. If we need to buy anything, we stand for 3 hours outside the commissary to buy very expensive, off-brand, low-quality items. Our whole day is spent running from, like, I'm horrified that people live like this. They manage to keep us very busy waiting. Like, they're in prison for no reason. What the fuck? The services of this place simply can't support this huge amount of people. It is a mess everywhere. I'm telling you, history will call these fucking places concentration camps. If we had a complaint or a request, it would take days or even months for someone to get back to us. And when they get back, they give us nothing. But if we are lucky, they will give us false promises. We would have to go from one person to another to get anything. In the end, we might not even get our needs taken care of because of ridiculous reasons. For example, we can't get hats in the sunny heat of Texas just because it is winter season now, while the officer himself is wearing a hat. To talk about the devastating stories that we hear require a whole different article. It is heartbreaking to hear everyone's story and see them struggling. And we have been detained here since the 4th of July. This is like, more than a half a year now. Having one court after another, praying to get out soon, looking for small happy moments in the absolute darkness, trying to survive day by day while completely losing it some days. Oh man. I don't know what attack he did. They're saying their father did an attack. We believe what happened to the victims of the attack is dreadful, that no one ever should experience what they have experienced. Violence is never justified, and we condemn everyone that uses violence, including my father. And the thing is like, yeah, her father may have committed a crime, but they're doing this to people who have not committed any crimes, and they did not commit crimes. This is like, it is a barbaric thing to hold somebody's family, hold things against people's families. Like, we got Mark Epstein walking around doing interviews. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. We are paying for something that we have absolutely no knowledge of. My father goes against everything me and my I would have stopped him from hurting the others, hurting himself, and hurting others. My dream is to go to Harvard Medical School and become a doctor. I want to help others. Let's see, I skipped another one. Makes the situation worse is that DHS and ICE insist on detaining us with no evidence. They choose not to investigate. They choose to ignore the results of the FBI investigation that shows that we did not do anything. They ignored the investigation that went on for more than 20 hours. We explained that my father doesn't come home except for 1 day a week. He sleeps in his car, and we don't talk to him that much. And as we've written on the FBI transcript, he bought the equipment on his way to the scene. Maybe this was the guy from Afghanistan that drove across the country and shot the National Guard, maybe? I'm just guessing from the context. I have tons of evidence proving our innocence, and the DHS is choosing to close their eyes. They are choosing to ignore the evidence of innocence. Staying detained drains us physically and mentally. The place has serious effects on kids. Like, kids should not be in places like this. Bondi used to work with the lobbyists of private prisons. Now you see why he picked her. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Eric Lee, representing the family of Boulder firebomber in the deportation case, has a long... Oh. Well, that's good. I don't know when or how our detention will end. I don't know if it's a happy or sad ending. I don't know how we will deal with the effects of this place imposed on us. That is disturbing. And this was Just posted a few hours ago. Now let's see what, I guess you searched his you searched him and found he's got like some kind of charge or something like that. I'm not seeing it. What was that headline? I'm looking for it now. Where was that? Okay. Board of Immigration Appeals orders suspension of attorney Eric Lee. Let me look. Suspended on consent. Let's see what this means. Is this the guy? No, this is Lee Eric Ulsterling. I think that might be a different guy. Eric Lee appeared on the Hill's stirring news program Riot and delivered a defense of free speech and due process rights that are involved with the suspension of Yale and exposes witch hunt of Yale scholar and defends pro-Palestinian peace rights. Oh yeah, so maybe he was suspended for, you know, during the whole anti-Palestine crusade that many of the wait, what was that? Oh, that's not relevant. Let's see what else we got here. Oh man, I think that. Oh yeah, let's check some live streams and see what the deal is there, and see if anything is happening currently. Check up on chat too. Let's see. I think that this is out front of the right one's out front of Whipple. The middle one, I'm not sure. I'm gonna look for a couple of other streams to flip through for a couple minutes. Somebody says, would you rather give up your freedoms to allow illegals to take over? What do you mean by illegals taking over? By living beside me and going about their lives and doing their thing? What do you mean by take over? Like, that's insane. And we are giving our freedoms up now because of people like you who are freaked out about having new neighbors. You know what I mean? No, there are not too many bad ones coming into the country. You're just racist. That's what I'm sorry to break it to you. There are not a bunch of, like, because it is statistically, you're statistically wrong. You're statistically wrong. The immigrants commit crimes at a much lower rate. I'm not calling you a name. I'm just identifying the conditioning in your head. Like, one thing that I think people need to realize is that racism is not a pejorative. When I say racism, I'm not like calling you a name. I'm identifying a mindset that you have. It's not like a, you know, and the statistics don't bear it out. Immigrants commit crimes at a lower rate than people who were born here. It's just that the right-wing media focuses every single time an immigrant commits a crime. They hyper focus on it. They get people all worked up, and they make people think that the crime is happening at a higher rate than it is. I mean, hold on. I like, let me look this up real quick. It give you the. Let's see. Undocumented immigrant offender rate lower than U.S. born citizen rate. Analysis of Texas arrest records indicates consistent trend across violent drug property crime. Okay, so this is between 2012 and 28, a little bit old, but let's see. As immigration increased, the crime rate declined, according to the American Immigration Council's analysis of demographics and crime and data between 1980 and 2022. The immigrant share of the U.S. population more than doubled from 6.2% to 13.9%, while the total crime rate dropped by 60.4% from just under 6,000 crimes per 100,000 people to just over 2,000 crimes per 100,000 people. Specifically, the violent crime rate fell by 34.5% and property crime rate fell by 63%. Like, crime in general is not up. That's another thing. Like, there is this narrative that has developed in this country that crime is out of control and that, crime is so much worse than it used to be. This is propaganda to justify a police state. It is not actually happening. Crime still happens, yes, but it happens so much less. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Somebody earlier today, I called Nick Fuentes a Nazi. And one of the comments said, "So you think that everybody you disagree with is a Nazi?" And I'm like, it's Nick Fuentes. He is literally a Nazi. What are you talking about? I mean, yeah, crime still happens, but it's not happening at a higher rate than it used to. And as immigration has increased, crime has decreased. So how can you explain that? And then there was another guy I was arguing in the comments with earlier, and he was like, he threw out this whole thing about, they're taking the women and they're all this kind of typical tropes. And I was like, well, they're not committing crime at a higher rate than white men. I mean, and a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that, we feel more comfortable here to think we could get away with shit. And a lot of immigrants know they can't get away with shit. And they are, they're less likely to take risks. That doesn't mean that they don't commit crimes, but it just means that statistically they do so at a lower rate. And when I was explaining this to a guy, he said, "Who cares?" He's like, "I don't care. I just don't want them here." And it's like, that's where the conversation always ends up, because all this bullshit that you're saying about the crime or the fraud or they're getting services that they shouldn't get, all of that is just bullshit narrative to justify the fact that you don't want these people living in your neighborhood. That's it. For no reason. And yeah, exactly. Like, sure, people are getting shot in the street. People are getting put in concentration camps, but you hurt my feelings. And like, we were the ones who have been called snowflakes for the past 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry I'm allowing myself to get so stunlocked and derailed tonight, but I did not prepare a ton of content. So I'm actually glad that some people are arguing with me tonight, because I was so caught up in the situation that happened today and just so upset by it that I just didn't know what the hell to put together. Yeah, I mean, it's the basic idea that like it's you're a writer artist. I mean, it's one of these things like I feel like a lot of people think that the definition of racism is like, you know, you have a swastika on your chest or something like that, and you're flying a Confederate flag. And for some reason, even now, you get in trouble for calling those people racist too. But um, you know, it's people don't realize that there's a lot of unconscious bias that you have in your head that has been we've all got it. I have gotten it in my head, and I had to unlearn a lot of it over the years. Hopefully, I have unlearned all of it. Maybe I haven't. You know what I mean? Maybe I will catch myself one day being corrected about something and be like, "Oh shit!" Like you're right. Um, it's it's a thing where y- you think that people are um you think that people are on in a certain position because they deserve to be that way, because they are a lesser person. If you see the world in terms of this race is more of this and this race is more of that and this race is does you know what I mean? That's racism, especially if you're doing it in a negative way. Um and i- if you exhibit racism, that doesn't mean that you are a totally doomed person. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that you're banished from society. It means that you have a couple things to learn, that's how I feel about it. And there are degrees of that, of course. There is the Nick Fuentes spectrum where you are blatantly racist or being paid to be so. And then there is the, kind of like normie brained racism where you just kind of are, on the same programming that people in a white supremacist society is, and you've just taken a lot of stuff in from society, and maybe you're not willing to correct that. Maybe you feel guilty about admitting that, to even look inward about yourself, and it's tough. To have this conversation, especially like I've had to have this conversation with people in my life at times, like people that I've worked with and stuff. And they have that attitude, like, white people are always getting picked on or whatever. And it's like, uh, dude, like that's not the situation, and nobody's coming at you. It's just that, you got to recognize that there's things in this society. Yeah, yeah, I feel so too. Many are so traumatized they need yeah, and that is true, and I do think we have a very traumatized society that is looking at scapegoats to, to turn their aggression on and to blame, Um, yeah, exactly. I think the thing is about always being open to learning and growing. So the programming, Rufio, is something that makes you look at other people like they are less human. That's the programming. You know what I mean? We're all human. We all deserve dignity and respect, and to not be thrown in dungeons and shot in the street. Um, Everybody doesn't want to live here. And a lot of the reason why people come here in large numbers is because they are fleeing devastation that we have caused in their countries. If you're interested for the background story on that, I have a 1 hour video on my channel called "The Cold War Was World War III." And it basically goes through how the US government waged all these different wars around the world to colonize different parts of the world and collect resources to enrich the corporations and the rich people here. And they have intentionally destabilized various parts of the world, and people end up moving here as a result of that. And not only that, uh, while we set up our colonies in these places, we bribe many of the locals to help us and to fight against their own people. And oftentimes, when things go bad in those areas, we owe those people a safe passage, a safe place to live because they sacrificed their lives for our colonialism. Uh, See, now this is the mindset that I think is a big problem in our world is that there will always be a conqueror and a conquered. That if we are not subjugating other people, then we will be subjugated ourselves. And I think that that idea is like the root of all evil for real. Like, you know, that just we gotta get better. Look at all the shit we've been able to create as humans. You think we can't get through in the world without killing each other and brutal being savages? Like, come on. We gotta work towards something better. uh yeah, I don't think that kind of zero sum game is good for the world, and as long as I'm alive, I'm not gonna encourage that or support that kind of mindset. I think we need to evolve past that. And if you're not willing to be the person to take the first step, if you're then you're just a little bitch, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but I know I'm calling names again, but like, come on, have the guts to be the first person to, you know, to make peace. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you to for that super chat, man. That is very kind. I appreciate that. Um, I, I, I apologized right after I threw the insult, and I said I was just playing. But yeah, you're right. I did take it there. Um, but it is a matter of courage, I will say, because you know all this puffing out the chest and we need these cops and we need to exert our power around the world. um that is like I don't know how to describe it other than little bitch energy, you know what I mean? Because I try not to, and even that is a little bit too misogynistic for my tastes of ways of describing things. But you know um but we're dark woke now, so I think it's okay. um I do think that this honestly this has been a good opportunity to talk about some of these things. So, even though I definitely don't agree with what dude is saying, um, I do appreciate that this conversation is happening and that, maybe people could take things away from it. Because I don't want to be immediately hostile with everybody that I see as having a different view on human rights, which is like, but it's hey, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I do. I mean, look, I've been through a lot of shit, especially with activism over these past few years, like, 10, 15 years now that I've been at it. And I I've been wrong a lot. I've seen a lot of fucked up shit. And I think that I'm just I'm driven by a desire to just have more human rights on this earth. Like I've said in the past, before I wanted to do, I had visions of a utopian world that we could create now that we have this technology that connects us together. And now at this point, I'm just like desperately hoping we don't like enter a complete dystopia. Um, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of problems with um, you know, the the massive inequality in our world, the way that oh no, don't worry, Do Starkey. I'm not really feeding the troll. I'm just milking it for content. It's all good. Because it is provoking an interesting conversation that I think is important to be had. and it's allowing me to express myself on some issues that I haven't been able to before. So I'm grateful for that. Um, but yeah, I feel like I don't get where the yeah, I know the hope of 2012 exactly. It was like I remember the whole thing with 2012 too. It was like there were a lot of people who were saying that it was the end of the world because of the Mayan calendar and everything. But I had this idea, and even if you like, there were many interviews with actual Mayans and stuff, and they were saying like that it's not the end of the world, it's just a transition. And I used to have this thing like we are transitioning into a new age where of enlightenment and shit. And like I can't believe how gullible I was with that. Um yeah, I think let's say I'm a troll, a fascist, a little bitch, and more crazy. Dude, it is so funny how like people get so upset about being called a few names, like when they are literally advocating for the dehumanization of people. Like, you understand why, like, it's a little bit like ridiculous that you're playing you walk into a space and you're like, "Yeah, I don't think these people are human, and actually, they don't deserve to be treated like human, and I don't care if they die. I don't want them to be my neighbors." And then you get mad when people call you names, like, that's that's just a little bit weird. You know what I'm saying? You gotta recognize the position that you're coming to the table with. You know what I'm saying? Um you gotta realize the position that you're coming to the table with. Like, when I say something really, really, like, you know, like, so for example, I used to intentionally say very, very, like, provocative things on, like, 4th of July and shit like that. Like, you know, joke about flag burning and stuff like that, you know? And people used to get really worked up about that. But when I did it, I knew I was coming to the table with a provocative position. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, when conservatives come into a conversation where they're just straight up, you know, like saying somebody should die, then you call them something. I'm not. You're saying you're okay with concentration camps, and then you're like, "Why do you call me names?" I'm just saying it's wild if you think about it. It is kinda wild if you think about it. And, that reminds me of something I've always wanted to kinda talk about but couldn't really, articulate, and that's the fact that people say, um it's just politics. Like, we can't get mad about it. It's just politics. We just have a disagreement of politics. It's like this politics is a gear that grinds people down and hurts people a lot. And it's like, you know, um, that so that is the implication. So, like, I think that's what you don't understand is like the implication is that that people are going to be in concentration camps and they're all I said is don't come into the country illegally, and you added a whole load of shit I never said. Well, no. Yeah, because everything that follows when you say don't come into the country illegally, what you're doing is you're justifying all of the bad things that are happening to immigrants. So that is why I'm putting those words in your mouth, because I'm letting you know what the implication of what you're saying is. Um, you know, people are very good at dog whistling and beating around the bush and shit, but in the end of the day, that's what you're advocating for. Um, but this has been fun, though. Really, this has been fun. Let me see if there are any updates here on the live feed. Go back to sharing this tab. I have a feeling it'll probably be relatively chill tonight. I'm not sure if they've occupied any place or if that's still happening, but man, I think this is the first time I've gotten in a debate with chat, I think, even though it's just one person. Yeah, I know, and that's the thing I really don't think a lot of people understand is, like, so many of the immigrants who are here are people who had to leave their countries because they helped the US government in their home countries. I mean, if I think that there's this really interesting thing that people do where they separate their political opinions from the reality that those political opinions create. You know, it's not just a peaceful act to be calling for the state to be coming down on people, you know? Yeah, exactly. They're the Democrats are terrible too, and they're like, yeah, just give them more training. They just need more training and shit. Let's say ICE doesn't care if someone and that's that they don't care if people are legal or not either. They are taking people with legal status, green cards, visas, all sorts of shit. There have been cops that have been arrested just because they were brown. You know? So and we've seen that. You could go back to my live stream from last night. It showed that. I just have a hard time with the lack of humanity. But there was something revealing as far as I feel like most of the people that are okay with this see things in a very kill or be killed world. Like it's a dog eat dog world and you need to dominate people or else you will be dominated. And like, you know, I like being dominated for fun, if you know what I mean, but like not in reality, in society. No, I did not. I'm not up on the Australian situation, but you know, I would imagine. Yeah, exactly. They killed two people that are US citizens, exactly. And they did so with glee. Like they were happy to do it. And they were happy to do it because they saw those people as their political enemies. Yeah. Oh man. I think it'll probably stay relatively tame tonight though, I think. Aside from a couple of ICE cars getting messed up. Yeah, I mean, it really should mess with your conscience seeing this. White American citizens too, especially that guy was ICU for a war veteran. Yeah. Well, he was like worked at the Veterans Association or anything or something like that. I mean, we are in a historically pivotal and dangerous time. And it disturbs me how many people think that it's normal for police to be behaving like this in any way. I think anybody, and the other thing is, you know, anybody who has actually been through a kidnapping or arrest, a police kidnapping, you know, I think usually has a different perspective of it, unless they're one of those people who are like, I made it through too. Conservatives hate freedom and democracy. Oh yeah, definitely. Look at this. This was something that I shared today. Hold on, let me bring it up. Wow, it's I mean, it's a pretty basic meme here, but it's like very, very we sure own the libs. It's like that's the attitude right now. Is wild. And I feel like this time they're starting to go back on it, though. There were a lot of the conservative influencers that had to delete their comments after the second video came out. Yeah, exactly. I have been seeing, because I'm still like connected with like a lot of crypto people through work and stuff like that, and I've been seeing them even say like, I'm done with Trump. I'm so sorry that I you know, shilled him on my page. So, you know, I do think you're right there. There is some regrets, and there are some people who are starting to see that this has really crossed the line, which is good. And I think that this resistance to ICE has definitely grown beyond. What do we got? People with their hands on their head on the top left corner there? I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, that is the thing, is that I feel like we live in this very selfish world when it comes to politics, where people don't realize that the way to get a better life for themselves is to literally advocate for a better life for everybody around them. Because, you know, if you only advocate for people who are at your station or higher, or whatever they call it, then you're screwed if you fall beyond below that point. So even selfishly caring for other people is the way to build a better life for yourself. If you know, engaging in the political system, which is, you know, I'm an anarchist. Like I have very, very complex feelings on all that shit. At this point, I totally understand politics for self-defense, you know what I mean? But like, I just feel like when you are advocating for pain for other people, and you want the state, the power of the state to be used to hurt other people, you're opening the door up for it to be used on yourself. And I think that this is what a lot of people are starting to realize. But it's it's sadly a bit late, you know. Hopefully not too late. And it really does speak to like, why do we have this perspective, like, you know, people want policies that will just enrich them specifically, personally, and not just make society better to live in. And I just that's it is it's really self-destructive. At While they think they're being selfish, they're being self-destructive, which is the very ironic thing about it. Um What would happen if we did nothing about it? If people just lived here? I mean, it would be fine. Nothing would happen. It would just be, you know, it would be great. If somebody committed a crime, they would get arrested for the crime, and that would be, whatever. Yeah, and that isn't a thing either. I mean, there has there has not been open borders in our lifetime. It's always been pretty harsh, but I don't think we would be looking at a vastly different kind of society um, if a lot of people were able to move here. It's just like people are born into this society. That's the thing I was saying earlier. When I was, hopefully y'all picked up that I was being sarcastic when I said that the United States is being invaded by infants, um, because people are born and you don't know if they're going to grow up to be criminals. And, it's so what's the difference between somebody moving here from another country and somebody being born here? Is no different. It's just they look a little bit different, and they, maybe they'll have a different religion, maybe something like that. They're not more likely to hurt you. I mean, yeah. I mean, come on now. Like this seems obvious to me, but maybe I'm crazy. Oh yeah, a lot of this is definitely cover up for Epstein. He's doing everything he can, and whatever is in there is got to be terrible. Um. What do we got there? Is that a nice truck that got messed up? I think that's a nice truck in the middle. Either that or yeah, I think that's a nice truck. Top middle. I absolutely think we should have open borders for sure. 100%. I don't care who moves here. Doesn't matter to me, especially at this point. And the thing is ain't nobody want to move here at this point. We're a crumbling civilization. I mean, have you ever been outside of the US? Like, it's nice out there. It is really nice out there. Even places you wouldn't expect are really nice. We've been propagandized in this country to think that this is, as Reagan said, or whoever before him, the shining city on the hill, or whatever the fuck. The rest of the world is very beautiful, very developed, very safe. You know, it's it doesn't matter like where you go. In many ways, people are the US is more dangerous. I remember people were freaking out when I was going to Bogota, and I looked up the murder rate there, and it was higher in Baltimore, which is the closest city to me. Um, or yeah, it was higher in Baltimore rather. 100%, 100%, Boyger. If we stop fucking with other countries, people wouldn't need to flee instability. Exactly. That's one of the biggest problems. Is we're creating all this shit. Yeah, Baltimore is definitely rough. It's gotten surprisingly better for some reason. Yeah, but it has gotten it has been insane at ports and times. Especially like I used to throw my parties in crazy ass places. Yeah, oh no. It's all good, Rowdy. I ran out of content like an hour ago and he kept me going. So it's I am grateful. I am and I ended up actually like expressing myself in ways that I wanted to. So that's great. It looks like at the left there, Whipple's getting pretty intense. I mean, it is though. This is one of the symptoms of it crumbling. Oh no, yeah, no, I figured. Yeah, it is super ironic that Elon is an immigrant, and the whole South Africa thing, like it's I have met I have met people from South Africa who are great, white people from South Africa who are great, who aren't racist. But it is the people that come from Elon and Peter Thiel's generation, they are very, very, very racist. And the Palantir thing, last week, Palantir, the guy on Twitter was like saying, we should bring back Rhodesia and apartheid South Africa. And actually, uh, oh, no, no. So so my position on anarchy is um that it won't happen within our lifetime. Like I was optimistic, like I said before, and I thought that it was possible in our lifetime, but I don't think that humanity is at that stage yet. I think we got a couple more steps to go. I think that it should be the North Star that we work towards. You know what I mean? Like we should work towards uh removing hierarchy from our existence. But you know, uh it, it's not going to happen right now. I think our current agenda should be protecting the people who are vulnerable, maintaining some figuring out how to maintain some semblance of sustainability for people and a decent lifestyle for people. We have the resources to do it at this point, and hopefully work towards someday, many generations from now, people existing in a state of anarchy with no rulers, peacefully. I don't think it's possible in this lifetime anymore, especially with what we're dealing with now. Yeah, I mean, Elon's twisted. But yeah, the Rhodesia thing, I wanted to look up that, and I think I have it bookmarked. But all of these guys are from South Africa. These like white South African dudes that were alive during apartheid and um have come here, and you know they think that those countries went wrong getting rid of apartheid and that we should bring that here and that they have the power to implement it. I'm wondering if I still have that saved where he posted that shit. And he's been popping off about like that kind of stuff for a while, the guy from Palantir. And not even the Alex Karp guy, the other guy. Forget what his name is. I'm scrolling through looking for it. Yeah, exactly. It has to be deconstructed over time. It can't happen like like flicking of a switch. Let's see. I can't find it. I thought I still had it. Could look for it though. I've saved so much stuff over the past couple weeks just because there's been so many ice incidents and stuff. Let me just look it up. Palantir Rhodesia. And Rhodesia was a country much like South Africa, where it was basically an apartheid state. Where is it? He must have deleted it. Oh, here it is. This is the guy, Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, just endorsed apartheid South Africa and Rhodesia and said U.S. should move toward their model of open white supremacy. He is one of the founders of the AI industry Super PAC, along with OpenAI president Greg Brockman and A16Z. He posted, "The same will happen to America if we lit it. The toxic brew of race communism and anarcho-tyranny that turned the dark continent back into being such after a century of civilization has taken deep root on our shores, and will destroy us as it has destroyed them if we let it." And it's this like insane meme. And he says we can take things back in the right direction here. Like the what? You know what I'm saying? But I guess I'm alarmist for calling people like this Nazis. You know what I mean? Okay, this guy, like, I couldn't imagine spending spending the night in chat like this, advocating for that kind of shit, advocating for people to have violence used against them. Oh, we got them closing in on that middle one, and they are like regular cops too. See what I'm saying about how slow they move, though, compared, like, they're probably going to crack skulls tonight. I'm not giving them too much credit. But, like, see how slow they are moving compared to the fucking ICE guys who were like, booking it, kicking the tear gas canisters so they could cause more damage as the people were running so they couldn't get away from the cloud, and then just chasing them. Yeah, I know, like, bro, these takes in the chat, I can't believe some of these takes, dude. This is wild. I know what that last one. I'm like, are you for real now, or are you just what? Peter Thiel looks like he just done drinking blood of a baby. I almost spit out my drink when he said that. Yeah, Kyle Klinsky's funny, man. I'll always have respect for him because he was one of the only big content creators who stuck up for the Free Thought Project and the anti-media and all those other sites when we got taken offline in 2018. That was actually back when he was still on the Joe Rogan show, and when he still went on there regularly. And he told him about it. He was like, "You're into this internet censorship thing," and all of these anti-war and police accountability pages had their, look at the person on the wheel, had their Facebook's, Twitter, all shut down at the same time on the same day. And Rogan was basically like, "Oh, well, I heard they were posting bad stuff about, I heard they were really anti-cop and stuff." And like, yeah, exactly. So he was like deflecting when Kyle Klinsky was trying to stick up for us. And he was like, "Yeah, I heard they post real bad stuff about cops." And then the next day or the next week or something like that, in that censorship sweep, he decided to bring Tim Pool on for the first time, and that's when he made that guy's career. Because he was, got kicked off Twitter for bullying trans people or whatever. Is he? Well, I mean, I don't hold that against him. I ain't a hater on that, but yeah, it looks like they're trying to push people away from the building there. Yeah, actually, the video on my channel, it's pretty wild. The video, I think it's the Bro Slop Pipeline. Let me check if because I have the footage or the clip from Kyle Kalinske on that Joe Rogan show where he was sticking up for us right before before he took his deep descent. And the funny thing about that is I had to dig really hard for that episode because it was one of like 15 episodes that he had to take off of YouTube because he said a slur on them. And I think in that case he was like quoting Kanye West or something, but still, you know, he I had to dig for that clip. But yeah, that was, and Tim Pool went on there and talked shit about us. Basically, he said that, you know, it was the video on my page. It's Red Pill Manosphere Motivational Slop Gave a Whole Generation Brain Rot. It was like one of my first videos. It has that clip from a very young looking Kyle Kalinske sticking up for those sites that I wrote for. And that was pretty much the beginning of the end of my career in journalism. Wow, I'm not self-loathing. I just recognize that there are injustices that happen in this society that need to be corrected. When people say something, give me 5 minutes alone in a room with a self-loathing white. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh my God, tough guy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew yeah. My parents' generation. I see. I mean, not all of you are bad. A lot of you Gen Xers are great. You know, but some of y'all couldn't get with the times, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to evolve. You got to grow up. And even after you grow up, you got to grow up with the young people, you know what I mean? Because the young people help the old people grow up because they can teach them things that they didn't know before. Yeah, exactly. There are many great in Gen X. Damien is an exception. That's what happens when you have such low testosterone men on the left. It's all the talking points, dude. He's hitting all the notes. Oh, man. I don't know what I did to attract them tonight. No, I don't hate my father. That's a weird question. I don't know what that has anything to do with anything. Trump said Miller wants to depopulate the U.S. down to 100 million people who all look like him. What a strong, healthy country that would be. Up, and we get cut off here. Daddy, I hate you. Oh man, that chat is funny tonight. That's good to hear, Arzum 11. Yeah, that's the thing is like places, yeah. Places will definitely have corrupt. Everywhere has corrupt politicians. You know what I mean? Every city has corrupt politicians. Every state has corrupt politicians. Yeah, all this weird stuff with the testosterone and the like, why do you hate your it's like I wanting justice for other races does not mean I hate my race. You know what I mean? I just want justice for human beings. That's it. T is for testosterone. They're trying to say that we have low testosterone for caring about people. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we should all want justice for everybody because at the end of the day, that means justice for us too, you know? Like, what is happening right now is a very good example of this because, you know, I want to give immigrants rights because they're human beings, you know what I mean? But if you don't think like that and you just want to think selfishly, look at what is happening in Minneapolis right now and all this shit. If there is um no protections for immigrants when it comes to uh protections of free speech and you know, right to privacy, search and seizure, you know what I mean? If you don't give immigrants those rights, then you don't get those rights yourself. Yeah, we are all immigrants too in this country. But if you take those rights away from a specific group of people, then that means that you don't have them either because you need to search people to figure out if if they're a citizen or not, or if they fit into that special group of people who have rights. So I mean, I ain't MAGA. I don't know who you talking about, Damien. Um, but yeah, like if you take away rights from anybody in a society, then those people will be subject to harsh treatment from the government. And if they're subject to harsh treatment from the government, then everybody is, because it is very easy for one of these goons to mistake somebody in that group for somebody else. I'm not conservative. I'm a leftist. A leftist anarchist, Antifa. And like I explained a couple minutes ago, I am not I don't think that anarchy should happen right away. I think it should happen lifetimes from now and humanity's ready, but we should work towards it. Natural porn, I like it. Even if that was a typo, I like it. Yeah, it's I mean, come on, like who cares what piece of dirt somebody was born on? If it could happen to them, it could happen to you argument. People care before it happens. Yeah, there is a lot of that. I don't think people are going to be looting, really. No, I that's the thing. It's been going on for a week like this, and there hasn't been any of that, you know? But it is starting to get kind of late. I'm got a big snow weekend ahead. I was going to sign off like an hour ago, but the chat was active, and I think this was one of the first nights we had some debates in the chat. So I appreciate that. You know, you are unhinged for real, but I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on some of these things. And I appreciate y'all sticking around and hanging with me on this disturbing evening. I did get to blow off some steam. Like it was all good, you know, all in all. That you know, thank you. It is so funny how. Yeah, thank y'all. I really appreciate it. It has I do feel a little bit lighter than I did a couple hours ago because I was pacing around all day, ruminating with my mind going in circles about this situation and then just about how I'm scared about where it's going to lead. And I'm just scared for the people that are out there. I'm lucky to be out here in the middle of the woods. But you know, a lot of people aren't. So much love, y'all. And I have another video coming up soon. And yeah, if you want to see how the US government has destabilized countries all over the world and you know, caused them to look for new homes, could check out my video, The Cold War Was World War III. Thanks again, y'all. I'll catch you tomorrow. And if you see any stories to you want me to cover tomorrow, please drop it in my socials. Thanks again. Peace, y'all.